Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Mark's YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify. However you're listening to my voice, I appreciate it. It looks like I'm coming in good. Looks like I'm coming in hot as I check the levels. I wanted to talk a lot about everything that was going on in the world of wrestling. But honestly, after Revolution, I got a little under the weather, so I couldn't really talk then. My nose was stuffy, my head hurt. I was trying my best to just continue doing my day-to-day stuff like work and cleaning myself and cleaning the house while I was a little under the weather. So I didn't have time to talk about Raw, NXT, Dynamite, a lot of other things that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to divide this show up into two parts. There's going to be this part where I'm going to talk about predominantly like some news and opinion stuff that I wanted to go over, the week that was in WWE, and then I'm going to watch Collision, and then I'm going to come at you guys with the week that was in AEW. Hopefully you guys like both parts. Hopefully you guys listen to both parts. I respect if you only listen to one part, and if you don't listen to either one, I guess you don't really ever hear this at all anyways. But let's jump right into it. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was announced just as I gave it up on Jake Paul. Jake Paul was this great heel in 2022, knocking out all of these legends or knocking out all these retired athletes, pissing people off like, hey, all you do is fight retired athletes. That was, you know, how he got heat. He also, you know, looked ridiculous, covered in tattoos, but was a guy on the Disney Channel knocking people out with his little TikTok dangly earring, going up against the baddest of all time, WWE Hall of Famer Mike Tyson, also a retired athlete, so it fits in the wheelhouse. But Mike Tyson ain't just any other retired athlete. I mean, we saw him fight Roy Jones Jr. a few years ago during the pandemic, which kind of kicked off Jake Paul's career in celebrity boxing. And we also saw him whoop, didn't he fight like a guy on a plane, just like beat up a guy on a plane one time who was fucking with him, like about a year and a half ago. So this is years in the making, this fight. It's also on Netflix, which of course is the new home for WWE Raw, showing that they're going to do premium live events or pay-per-views, however you want to refer to them as, big live stream sporting events. So they're doing that. They're dipping their toes in the water with this, which makes me think that as soon as the deal with Peacock is done, WWE premium live events are going to go to Netflix. I can also see like Formula One races going over to Netflix. We've already seen big NFL games go from to TV to Amazon Prime. I can see it go from cable TV to Netflix in the coming future here. So this is big on lots of fronts. But I think it's huge for Jake Paul. I think, if Jake Paul knocks out Mike Tyson, the level of legitimacy that he has just rises 100% in my eyes. Of course, you can say he's an old guy, you know, he's an old man, so the haters will still be there, but the conversation involving Jake Paul will be reignited again. And he was the best heel in 2022, I would have to say. Honorable mention to MJF, but you got to give it to Jake Paul. That 2021, 2022, like everything he did went viral, knocking out old UFC guys, pissing off everyone in the UFC, including Dana White. You got to love that shit. And then you got him going up against the perfect foil, Mike Tyson, the guy that everyone that hates Jake Paul grew up loving. This is just a perfect pairing for a great matchup, a good sports entertainment matchup. And we're going to follow this story because it is sports entertainment. I love this shit. I also wanted to kind of go into maybe some fantasy booking here. Of course, Sting's last match was in the Greensboro Coliseum on Sunday. And Okada debuted on Wednesday. Reportedly, Sting wanted to do what many legends do, go out on their back, pay it forward to the Young Bucks, get the heat on the Young Bucks so the love that we all have for Sting can turn into hate for the Young Bucks, and then hopefully they can turn hate for the Young Bucks into money for AEW. But then the Young Bucks and Tony Kahn said no, they didn't want to do that. But I think they should have had the Young Bucks beat Sting by way of Okada interfering. And then people that already think Okada is a big deal would see this as a huge deal, Okada debuting in AEW. And the people that don't know Okada would now immediately hate him, and he would all have this big heat around him because he's the guy who ended Sting's career. I don't know. I think that might be, good heat to have on this trio's heel faction. Usually when you do something like this, the heat goes on the Office. But in this little storyline that they have set up, the Young Bucks are kind of the Office, and somewhat in reality as well. So I think that the heat would have stayed on the Bucks. He would have gone to Okada, because I do think that Okada, coming out, taking down Eddie Kingston, kind of wasn't as big of a deal as it should have been. I think it was great to see Okada. It's awesome that he's there. I'm going to be able to see him wrestle more than I was able to when he was in AEW. But I put up a poll saying who's going to be a bigger deal in a year's time. Is it going to be Will Ospreay, a guy who was able to debut on a big show and then able to have a showcase leaving the big show in his match with Kyle Fletcher? And he was perceived very well. It was like 90% people think Ospreay is going to be a bigger deal than Okada in a year's time. Where Okada, is, I'm going to have to watch Collision tonight, of course, but I think it should have been a bigger deal, man. I think having him beat Sting in the Greensboro Coliseum, getting all that heat, would have been that big deal that they're thinking of. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is crazy talk or if I'm kind of on point with what I'm saying. Going over to WWE Hall of Fame news, we got Paul Heyman, perfect choice for the Philadelphia market. Of course, they're probably the reason they're going to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is such a hotbed for wrestling still to this day is because of Paul Heyman creating ECW. You also, have his stuff that he did with Brock Lesnar and most recently with Roman Reigns, CM Punk. He's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. Could have been in years ago. Great that they brought him in now. Bull Nakano. My friend Cisco made the funny comment of this is a great safe bet because Vince McMahon probably didn't do anything with her, which, that's a funny joke. That's a funny joke. I wouldn't put it past the old man, but let's get serious. Bull Nakano, obvious choice for a woman in a wrestling Hall of Fame. If you have to, because it seems like they have to check the box of what woman they're going to bring in every year. It's not like there's rarely, if I ever seen multiple women getting inducted at one time. So, as I kind of maybe retrace my steps there a little bit, they do pick a woman every year, and a lot of times it's like maybe, Michelle McCool, someone who I don't ever think should have actually been in the Hall of Fame, but they kind of have to check that box every year, where Bull Nakano is legitimately someone who should be in a Hall of Fame. Her matches in WWE with Alundra Blaze, amazing. Then, moved on to, when Alundra Blaze was Medusa in WCW, and then all the stuff she did in Japan as, in the 90s was revolutionary in its time. And then you have the U.S. Express, Barry Windham, who already is in the Hall of Fame with the Four Horsemen. So he's in there twice with the teams. That's kind of cool. And Mike Rotunda, who I thought was already in the WWE Hall of Fame when he was IRS, but I couldn't find any proof of this. So, two guys who seemingly could be in there separate are coming in together. Hard to argue about that. But let's jump over to WWE Raw. Like I said, I was under the weather, so I kind of just want to go over the highlights of the week that was in WWE. Not necessarily breaking down every single show, just some stuff to talk about here. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes answering the Rock and Roman's challenge, and Rollins called The Rock Diarrhea Dwayne, which he is now saying that was stupid on purpose, which it was stupid no matter what, but I'm glad it was on purpose, which, he might be backtracking here a little bit, but, it was kind of stupid. Maybe he's like alluding to how childish The Rock's promos are at times. I don't know. But they came out to say that they're going to answer them on SmackDown. Jumping over to SmackDown, the Bloodline comes out. The Rock comes out with this new lightning bolt entrance. It looks pretty cool. Roman says, "Acknowledge us." And that's when Cody Rhodes' music hits. He comes through the crowd. Rollins is following him. This felt huge. These guys standing in the ring. In the wrestling world today, there is this feud with the Bloodline, Rollins and Cody, and then there's everything else. In my opinion, this is on another level. Even without The Rock or with The Rock, this is on another level. Cody starts talking, and The Rock cuts him off, tells him he's going to drop some gospel on his punk ass. Crowd chants diarrhea. So between Sunday, where we had beat that meat, now we have diarrhea chants in wrestling. You got to love a wrestling chant. That kind of cracked me up. Rollins says Rollins says that, The Rock had his time and he can't have theirs. And then he accepts for both of them. That's when Roman starts laughing and says, Cody, you're just going to let this guy answer for you? You must be from Texas. Calls Rollins a walking cross-dresser. The Rock says that he will never get another shot at the title again if he fucks it up, talking to Cody. And then he kind of says that Cody is 20 years younger than his siblings and that he was a mistake, which, pissed Cody off. And Cody bitch slapped The Rock right in his fucking face. Let's fucking go. The Rock bitch slapped Cody at the WrestleMania press conference and made waves. And here is Cody bitch slapping The Rock in the middle of the SmackDown ring. Holy shit. This is huge. This feels huge. Second year in a row, WrestleMania Night 1 seems to be main evented by a tag match. But this one, of course, is on a different level than the tag match a year prior. But going over the rest of Raw, you had to check out Gunther versus Dom. Needed to see Dom get chopped. Dom getting chopped is a draw. Gunther, 1-2, picked his head up, though, fucking with the young man. Dom even gets the advantage at one point before getting hit with a drop kick, a huge power bomb, and then gets tapped out with a Boston Crab. The place goes wild. Also wanted to catch up on the re-debut of Andrade versus Apollo Crews. Good to see Apollo Crews out there. I remember when he was in the Indies as Uhaa Nation. I thought this dude was going to be a big star in the WWE. Didn't really pan out that way yet, but he's employed 6-7 years now. Why not? Also eats an elbow and a double running knee. Slick little DDT from Andrade, 1, 2, 3. He looks good. He gets the victory. Michael Cole putting on the antlers, which is something we all wanted to see ever since the Royal Rumble, and him marking out over these fucking antlers. Main event, Jay versus Drew. Solo shows up. Cody comes out and takes out Solo, but then that leaves room for Jimmy to show up. Jay distracted. He eats a Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Rollins comes out and takes out Jimmy, but then he eats a Claymore of his own. Rollins gets kicked with a Claymore. Drew pissed that Rollins is over here fighting the Bloodline when he needs to be taking part in his world title match, which, what helps make Drew McIntyre's heel run so good is all the common logic applied to why he's upset. And this is no different here. I think this is a good point that he's hitting here. Like, what, you're over here fighting the Bloodline, you need to be fighting me, I'm gonna take your title, man. The rest of SmackDown was good as well. Stuff I want to talk about: Logan Paul in the ring reveals Prime in the center of the ring, brings out KSI. I guess that's better than the other guy. What was the other guy's name? Phil, Dave, Ryan, I don't know, but brings out someone who is another celebrity boxer, another owner of Prime. And I love how they're using this logo in the middle of the ring to get heat, because if they just all of a sudden had that in the logo at WrestleMania, it would have gotten heat anyway. So having it being a part of the storyline is a much better way to do it, and you can also, bring that heat onto who you wanted to go onto, which is Logan Paul, instead of the WWE offices or whoever else it would go onto. Randy Orton shows up. Logan Paul runs RKO out of nowhere to KSI. Later on, then Randy drinks the Prime. He undeniably says it's good, but then pours it all over KSI. And then you got the visual of Prime logo on the ring, KSI laid out, and Randy Orton standing tall. I think this was meant to get viral moments. I mean, RKO out of nowhere is like kind of like a viral mainstay, I would say, a internet talking point for decades. And then you have, you know, the owner, one of the owners of the company laid out over top. It's good marketing here. You gotta clap your hands for that shit. And then Kevin Owens and Randy Orton win the match. Logan attacks them both, but Randy able to get the brass knuckles from Logan Paul. AJ Styles and LA Knight still hate each other. Bayley has no friends. SmackDown was pretty good. Going on to NXT, Breaker and Corbin versus Chase U. The Wolf Dogs looking dominant and standing tall. Ty Dillinger promo, very wordy. Not good, not bad, very wordy. Calls out Ridge Holland, and he comes out and just punches him in the face. They start brawling, but stops short of using the chair just like he used the chair. He's struggling with his own emotions here. This is pretty good, Eric. I would say this is the most I've ever been invested in Ridge Holland here, and I think Ty Dillinger, oh man, I'm blanking on his Sean Spears. He had that great match with Cody. He always seems to kind of sink his teeth into whatever they give him. Even that Perfect 10 thing was probably going on 99 people. Probably wouldn't have worked, but he made it work. So I'm interested to see where this feud goes. Dijak and Gacy, though, this match was pretty good. We had a full-blown cage match here. Dijak taping the face of Gacy with duct tape. Puts him through a door. 1-2, no. This is crazy chance. Feast your eyes, not once but twice. 1-2-3. Dijak gets the victory. He must have re-signed because his contract was running out, and they keep putting him on TV week to week, and now they give him the big victory here. He must have re-signed. And then you have William Regal coming out face to face with his son. He is worried about the Heritage Cup because it means so much to him and everything he did in NXT UK. And then Dempsey, his son, says he'll defend it better than he ever could. Oh, mic drop. Son versus dad. Maybe we'll see a matchup. Who knows? The main event, Carmelo Hayes versus D'Angelo. I was interested in seeing D'Angelo here. I know that his character. I know him in tag teams, but I was interested to see if this guy can truly go, and he can. All this talk about Breaker in the main roster. I want to see D'Angelo in the main roster. I want to see Tony D up there. But then Trick Williams' music hits. The security is getting ready. They're standing at the entrance. Everyone's chanting, "Whoop that Trick." Wild looking fisherman suplex. 1-2-3. The Don gets the victory here over Carmelo Hayes off of the distraction. And then Trick fucking Williams comes out. This guy's over, man. This guy's over. I said I want to see D'Angelo in the main roster because, he's been down there a long time. But I think that Trick Williams is in the perfect spot that he needs to be in for his career. He needs to stay there, and he needs to be the biggest star that they have going over when they're changing from USA to CW in a few months, because it's infectious. It's fun to chant "Whoop that Trick." He's over. He's exciting to watch. And I think they got something here, and I think he still needs a little fine-tuning, maybe bell to bell. So if you keep him in NXT where he is a star, you can have him in those longer main event style matches where he will get better. And then when you do bring him up in a Royal Rumble setting with 40,000 or so people chanting "Whoop that Trick," everyone who doesn't know who he is will know who he is. Let me know what you think about the fantasy booking of Okada attacking Sting, and would you think that would be a good idea? And then let me know what you think about this main event storylines for WrestleMania, because it's just on a different level. It's so fucking good right now. I go to work, people are talking about it. I go on Twitter, of course they're talking about it. People are hitting me up like, hey, I used to work with you 5 years ago. What do you think about WWE nowadays? It's on fire. And I have to agree, it's fucking on fire. I'm going to hit you guys with another episode in a few hours. Fly high. I'm out.